Welcome to Crisis in Perception. Today, we're diving into a hidden force that pretty much decides what you see online. It operates just like a wildfire, and we're going to show you how to spot the smoke before you get burned. So let's start with a confession, a pretty blunt one, right? This comes from Ryan Holiday, a guy who is deep on the inside, spending years exploiting the digital media world for profit. He's our guide into the furnace, really, giving us a peek behind the curtain from someone who used to pull all the levers.
And this is his playbook, the book, Trust Me, I'm Lying. We're going to use it today to really wrap our heads around the architecture of our attention economy, a system that, you'll see, is way less concerned with truth and much, much more concerned with traffic.
To really get how these attention wildfires start, we have to look at the environment first. I want you to think of our digital world not as some library of information, but more like a vast, dry forest, just waiting for a spark.
You see, there's been this fundamental shift in the landscape. The old media world, well, that was often built on subscriptions. The main goal was to earn your trust, to build a long-term relationship. But the new model, it's a totally different game. It runs on pure attention. It's not about slowly building trust. It's about triggering an immediate, fast impulse to just click. And here's the bottom line, really. The system's incentives are completely skewed. I mean, when every single view is worth a fraction of a penny, the most valuable thing isn't accuracy or nuance. Nope, it's raw, unfiltered traffic. And that simple economic reality just changes everything about the kind of information that gets made and then gets amplified.
So we've got this bone-dry forest, right? How does a manipulator, an arsonist really, how do they actually start the blaze? Well, it turns out they have a very specific kind of fuel they absolutely love to use.
This is the tinder. These strong emotions, they are the most flammable material online. Psychologically, we are wired to react to threats, to social violations, to things that just make our blood boil. A reasoned argument is like a wet log. It's not going to catch fire. But outrage, scandal, anger, oh yeah, that stuff ignites instantly, and it burns hot.
And the manipulators, they know this. They don't just stumble onto controversy, they engineer it. And why? Because it is so much easier, cheaper, and way more effective at grabbing attention than trying to create something of genuine substance.
So a small, deliberately set spark. It doesn't stay small for long. It spreads through this predictable, almost mechanical process that insiders call trading up the chain.
This is the ladder the fire climbs. It works like this. A manipulator seeds a fake story on some tiny, insignificant blog. Then slightly bigger blogs don't even report on the story itself. This is the clever part. They report on the reaction, on the fact that people are talking about it. By the time the major outlets pick it up, they're just reporting on a trending topic. The original lie is never even verified. It gets laundered into legitimacy.
And there it is, straight from the source. It's a hustle. A piece of complete nonsense is passed from site to site, and it gains a little more credibility at each step until it's so widespread that it starts to have real-world consequences. Until the unreal, well, it becomes real.
Okay, this brings us to what is maybe the most terrifying stage of the wildfire. This is the point where the fire gets so big, it literally creates its own weather system. It doesn't even need an arsonist anymore to keep it going.
The system is just so perfectly primed for this kind of content, so hungry for that outrage, that it starts to generate these fires all by itself. The incentives are so powerful that everyone just instinctively feeds the flames, from the people creating content to us, the audience, without a manipulator even having to be involved. The monster, like Holiday says, it just feeds itself.
So this is the question we really have to ask ourselves. When our entire information ecosystem operates this way, what does it do to our shared sense of what's actually real?
This right here. This is the crisis in perception. The whole system is designed to reward whatever gets the most attention. And because we are constantly seeing what's getting attention, our brains are basically rewired to assume that visibility equals importance, that virality equals validity. We mistake the heat of the fire for the light of the truth.
All right, so after the blaze has swept through, what does the landscape even look like? What are the permanent consequences of a world that is constantly being reshaped by these attention wildfires?
Well, the logic of the system is ruthless, and it's self-perpetuating. The platforms are built to amplify engagement, the heat, not to verify information. Everyone in the system gets rewarded for playing this game. And what if a journalist or a publication decides to slow down, to actually fact-check? They just get left behind. The market itself punishes responsible behavior.
And look, this isn't just about a few blogs. This media wildfire is being fueled by the entire economic structure of the internet. Advertisers want eyeballs, platforms want engagement, political campaigns want to mobilize people, and we, the audience, we keep on clicking. It's all connected.
And that's the real kicker. The damage is often permanent. Sure, a correction or a fact check might get issued days later, but it gets a tiny fraction of the attention the original fire did. The landscape has already been burned. Minds have been changed. Reality has been altered. The fire has done its work. Crisis in Perception examines how systems shape belief and how better tools help us see clearly. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer, audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.